At my brother's wedding, while everyone celebrated with champagne and smiles, my wife leaned in and whispered, "We have to leave now." I thought it was jealousy. I was wrong. That wedding wasn't a celebration. It was the opening move in a ruthless plan to destroy my life, and my brother was leading it. The celebration began under a flawless spring sky, sunlight pouring onto the manicured garden where white orchids draped from the archway, and a string quartet played gentle harmonies. Guests mingled with champagne flutes, laughter weaving through the air like a delicate ribbon. Daniel, my younger brother, stood at the altar in a navy suit tailored to perfection, his grin so wide it seemed to split his face in half. He looked like a man who had just won the lottery, and in many ways he had. Today he was marrying Vanessa, daughter of a family whose name opened every door and whose wealth turned whispers into invitations. As his best man, pride filled my chest, yet beneath it was a flicker of unease I couldn't place. Lily, my wife, had been tense all day. Her usual warmth was absent, replaced by a rigid grip on my hand and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. Every toast, every side glance seemed to drain her patience. I chalked it up to her discomfort around Vanessa, their relationship always having been cold and formal. When the slow dances began at the reception, she leaned in, her breath sharp against my ear. "We have to leave now," I blinked, confused. "What? Why?" "They're about to cut the cake?" She didn't answer, just grabbed her purse and whispered again, urgency threading her voice. "I'll explain in the car." The drive home was suffocating. The silence between us is heavier than the air outside. I drove, still in my tuxedo, bow tie undone, glancing at Lily, whose eyes stayed locked on the road ahead, her fingers nervously intertwining. Finally, I broke. "Lily, what is going on?" She didn't answer immediately, not until we were halfway home, headlights slicing through the dark as her profile remained carved in pale stone. Then softly, without looking at me, she said, "You didn't notice." I frowned. "Notice what?" She turned, eyes glassy and voice low. "That wasn't a wedding, Jake. That was a trap." My grip on the steering wheel tightened. "What are you talking about? Daniel didn't just get married. He just finalized his deal to destroy you." Those words followed me into the house, each step heavier than the last. Lily's hands trembled as she pulled up an email on her phone and shoved it into my palm. The screen displayed a thread with Daniel's name. Subject, shareholder transfer. Agreement. Attached was a final draft of our company's equity contract. My heart sank. Daniel and I had built our logistics startup from nothing, a 50-50 partnership founded on blood, sweat, and blind trust. The emails revealed his betrayal, his plan to quietly shift shares into his control, exploiting a clause I had long forgotten. If one partner was compromised through fraud, misconduct, or moral failure, they forfeited their stake. Lily's voice sliced through my shock. "That wedding was a performance, Jake, a celebration of your downfall." She unraveled the sequence like a seasoned strategist. While I gave my best man speech, she noticed men in dark suits lingering on the fringes, not mingling, not celebrating. She trailed one of them to the terrace and overheard a phone conversation. "Once the press release goes out and Jake's name is tied to a scandal, we move his shares into Daniel's holding company. No, he won't know what hit him." Vanessa made sure of that. Vanessa, Daniel's bride, wasn't just a corporate lawyer. She was a specialist in hostile takeovers, the architect of my ruin. Together they plotted to frame me, sabotage my reputation, and seize everything we had built. Fraud, abuse, an affair, any fabricated scandal would suffice. I sat in our living room, betrayal crashing over me like a relentless tide. My brother, my partner, had sold me out for power and prestige. But as the weight of treachery bore down, clarity emerged. I wouldn't let them win, not this time. Not quietly the next morning, determination replaced despair. I didn't storm into the office or confront Daniel. Instead, I brewed a pot of black coffee and opened my laptop with steady hands. Over the years, my inherent paranoia had led me to embed safeguards into our company infrastructure. Backup admin rights, layered security protocols, silent kill switches. I had built a digital fortress with keys only I possessed logging into our servers. I traced Vanessa's firm's attempts to reroute proprietary code to an off-site server, a textbook move for cloning operations. I rerouted the access, stealthily severing their backdoor. Every unauthorized access was logged, timestamped, and documented. Then I opened a folder hidden deep within encrypted layers, a digital vault of Daniel's past misdeeds. Voice memos of his drunken boasts about offshore accounts, screen captures of him coercing junior developers, and a video of him sealing a secret commission deal with a supplier we had collectively vetoed. Lily became my co-strategist. She expertly managed the PR offensive, leaking curated snippets of Daniel's misconduct to targeted journalists. Meanwhile, I initiated emergency arbitration, ensuring our legal response would strike with precision. By noon, Daniel's calls flooded. My phone, followed by Vanessa's carefully worded emails proposing an amicable dissolution of my stake. I ignored them. The battleground was set for the next morning. I scheduled an urgent board meeting at 9 a.m. and added a new attendee to the list, Special Agent Martin Reyes from the Federal Business Crime Division. The game had shifted from a familial betrayal to a legal battlefield at precisely 8:58. I stepped into the glass-paneled boardroom, a storm cloaked in calm. Daniel lounged at the head of the table, arms crossed, exuding the smug confidence of a man who believed he had already won. Vanessa sat beside him, flipping through a leather binder, her expression polished and icy. The room buzzed with a low murmur of board members and department heads. At the far end sat Agent Reyes, unnoticed by most. His presence a silent declaration. Daniel greeted me with a condescending smile. "Jake, this could have been avoided. You're stretched thin, emotional." "Maybe stepping back is best." I said nothing. Instead, I opened a black folder and slid it across the table. Inside was a meticulously compiled dossier, emails, server logs, surveillance footage, notarized timelines. The evidence wasn't loud, but its weight was deafening. Then I plugged in the flash drive. The first video filled the screen. Daniel, drunk, boasting at a bar about skimming profits and hiding offshore accounts. Next came Vanessa's audio from the wedding terrace, plotting my professional execution with chilling precision. The silence in the room thickened, oxygen seeming to drain as their scheme unraveled before the eyes of our investors and leadership. Vanessa's fingers tensed around her binder. Daniel's face blanched, his cocky facade crumbling. Agent Reyes stood, his voice calm yet unyielding. "Mr. Daniel Carter and Ms. Vanessa Hale, you are now persons of interest in an active federal investigation for corporate fraud, evidence tampering, and conspiracy to commit economic sabotage." Two federal agents entered, moving with quiet efficiency. Daniel tried to protest, a brittle laugh escaping his lips. "This is a bluff." Reyes produced a warrant. "You will speak through counsel from here on out." Daniel and Vanessa were escorted out, their exit marked by a suffocating silence. The same brother who toasted to loyalty the night before now stumbled under the weight of his deceit. In the days that followed, the dominoes fell swiftly. News of the scandal spread like wildfire, tarnishing Daniel's name beyond repair. Vanessa's firm severed ties, casting her out to fend for herself. Our board, in a rare display of unity, voted to install me as sole CEO. Investors who once questioned my vision now lined up to apologize and pledge their continued support. But victory was not about public vindication. It was personal. I visited my parents, The house that once held echoes of family dinners and childhood laughter now weighed down by mistrust. They greeted me with guarded expressions, torn between disbelief and disappointment. I handed them a manila envelope containing irrefutable evidence. No words were exchanged. I didn't need their validation. Their silence was closure enough. A month later, Lily and I escaped to a quiet coastal town. No cameras, no schemes, just the rhythm of waves and the simplicity of peace. On the flight home, she rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "You could have destroyed him with rage, but you dismantled him with calm." I smiled, the weight of the past month finally lifting. Rage burns fast, but revenge is cold and permanent. Daniel was permanently barred from serving on any corporate board. Vanessa's legal license was revoked. The wedding venue deposit, a hefty $30,000, was anonymously donated to a veterans' family relief fund. Our company rebranded, shedding the shadows of betrayal, emerging stronger, more resilient. We grew, thrived, and redefined our legacy. Because I wasn't just the brother he betrayed. I was the storm he never saw coming.